Good afternoon and good morning, and thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Heidi, and I am one of the sales support specialists here at Aspira Retirement Living. The team members I support are responsible for helping seniors make that important decision to enter the next stage of their lives, one we hope will start at Aspira Retirement Living. Today, we're going to talk about strong bones. To take us through this presentation, I am so pleased to introduce you to Meg Stickl. Meg grew up Hi. Meg grew up in the Ottawa area and began her passion through volunteering with seniors when she was only 12 years old. She then studied psychology and gerontology at the prestigious University of Ottawa. Meg began her career at a retirement residence in recreation and recognized a huge need for seniors' fitnesses. Meg knew she had to make that difference. And then in 2013, Meg started her company, AIM, with the intention of helping more retirees improve their core, their strength, and ultimately their mobility. Today, Meg is a certified personal trainer, a seniors fitness instructor, specializing in fitness for people with medical conditions, an aqua fitness instructor, as well as a weight management consultant. Meg and her team proudly provide in-home, one-on-one personal training, as well as group fitness classes. Meg also provides health and wellness presentations in both in Ottawa and online. So you might even say Meg is a bona fide real deal. Also joining us today is Charlene Doss. Charlene is kept so busy as she is the National Director of Wellness and Infection Control for our retirement division here at Aspira. Charlene oversees so many things, but primarily the resident clinical programs and the wellness services that we provide. Charlene and her passionate team is always dedicated to creating that safe and caring communities where residents have choices and options and can maintain their health and well-being at every and all stages of their lives. Now, for the fun part, during this session, Meg is going to talk to us about maintaining those strong bones. As we age, our bone density naturally does decline, and that elevates that likelihood of falls. This informative session today will let you know how to improve those bone strength and minimize those fall risks. We will also guide you through a set of osteoporosis-friendly exercises. So as we move through this presentation today, please feel free to pop in any questions you have into the chat, as well as we certainly always look forward to hearing your comments. So Meg, with that said, I'm leaving it up to you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Heidi, for the great introduction, and thank you everyone for being here today. All right. We're going to jump right in, chatting about strong bones. So today's presentation is going to be focusing on osteoporosis, but if you don't have osteoporosis, that's okay. You'll still benefit because as we age, we do lose a lot of strength and bone density. That just is a natural occurrence. So we will talk about bone density, osteoporosis, and then I'll talk about how we can maintain bone strength because there's many different ways to do that. Now, I'll also talk about the importance of physical activity. This is one of my very favorite topics to discuss because, as Heidi said, I'm a certified personal trainer and really passionate about helping people improve their strength and their mobility. I'll share some fall prevention tips as well, and then we will get moving. So I hope that you're ready to put on your running shoes, stand up, and we'll be doing some great weight-bearing exercises. All right, so Heidi really told all about me, but a little bit more is, so I have been working with older adults for a long time, and 10 years ago, I started my company, AIM Fitness. And here's a few pictures from over the years of what we've done. So we do group fitness classes in person in Ottawa. You'll see up in the top corner, all of the AIM to be Fit t-shirts. So for our 10-year anniversary, we released some new t-shirts that people can purchase. And a big project the past few years has been partnering with Rogers TV. So I do have a TV show called Fit Over 50 with Meg, which you can tune in and watch every morning, 8:30 till 9 a.m. And it's all exercises for adults 50 plus. Lots of fun. Then I do have a little dog who joins me in all my videos. He's not here today, but if you check out any of my videos, you'll see Fit Finley. He's always joining. So I want to start by asking, have you ever broken a bone? And if you are tuning in with us live, feel free to drop a comment in the chat. Let us know if you've broken a bone. So you can let us know yes. And if you have, what bone was it? So you can let us know. All right, someone broke a finger. Okay. I was doing this presentation last week, and one woman said she had fallen on the ice and broken her shoulder. So that's really common. I know of someone else who fell recently and broke their ankle. So falls happen, and oftentimes they do lead to broken bones. Now, not always. Sometimes people break a bone or fall and end up bruised, but don't break a bone. But those individuals with lower bone density have a higher percentage, a higher chance of breaking a bone. So that's why it's important to be aware of. All right, Charlene shares, luckily never broke anything, but had some serious falls. Yeah, I'm like you, Charlene, knock on wood, I haven't broken any bones yet. So what is osteoporosis? What is osteoporosis? So it is a condition that causes bones to become thin and porous, decreasing bone strength and leading to increased risk of breaking a bone. And you may know someone with osteoporosis. It is really prevalent, especially here in Canada, with over 2.3 million adults living with osteoporosis. So lots of people, maybe you know someone, maybe you yourself are tuning in for yourself or a loved one, but it is more common than we think. And this image shows the changes that occur. So there are different stages of osteoporosis. So a healthy bone looks like that first one, where it's pretty solid, not many holes, not many pores in the bone. Osteoporosis and severe osteoporosis, you'll see that the bone becomes less dense, it becomes less strong. And osteoporosis can lead to an increased risk of fracture, because if the bone isn't as strong, it doesn't take much to break a bone. Now, statistics tell us, talking about broken bones, that at least 1 in 3 women and 1 in 5 men will suffer from an osteoporotic fracture during their lifetime. And for quite a while, osteoporosis was known as a women's disease. Maybe you remember this, that, they'd say, okay, get your grandma, get your mother, or you yourself get checked. It's mostly women. And a few years ago, they did a big campaign to let men know that they are also at risk for osteoporosis. And you'll see that these statistics show that it's getting closer to not quite equal, but there are more men experiencing breaks from osteoporosis. And then it is known as the silent thief. And I think this is really interesting for us to know, because bone deterioration can occur over a number of years without any other symptoms. So it's not like arthritis where you have aches and pains. It's not like you have the flu or any other symptoms. Often people have it and they don't even know. And yesterday, when I was talking to a woman who was asking me, how do I know if I have osteoporosis? I said, well, it may be hard to know. So the best thing to do, there's kind of 3 ways to know. The one way to know is to get a bone density test done, which I will talk about in a little bit. But if you've broken a bone, sometimes that's how you know. And this fall, there was a gentleman who reached out to me and he said, Meg, I need to work with you and your team because I know you specialize in people with osteoporosis. And what he said, he shared his story. So he's young, he's 56. He still works, he's a dentist, and he had a really bad fall recently. And it was a weird fall because he was on his feet, he tripped over his laces, and he fell and he hit his shoulder right into a counter in his office. And he ended up breaking his shoulder. And he went to the hospital and he figured, you know what, broken bone, it's all good, I'll heal and keep going. And the doctor said, this is weird that you broke your shoulder from this type of fall. So they had him tested for osteoporosis, and they told him he indeed had it. And he was shocked. He said, Meg, I'm young, I'm in my early 50s, I work out, I go for jogs. He is very, very fit. And he said this came out of left field. He didn't hardly believed it. So, sometimes that's the way you find out you have it is by breaking a bone or having a fracture. The third way to know if you have osteoporosis, this is kind of a warning sign, often in the older population, is you may shrink. So you actually may lose some inches. And it's not just from bad posture. A lot of people do shrink anyways, and that can sometimes be kind of from the cartilage between in your spine, compressed. But if you've had a spinal fracture, then that can lead to some shrinkage as well. So again, if you've found that you've lost a few centimeters or a few inches, go get checked. Talk to your doctor. That could be a sign as well. And then last on this slide is that over 80% of all fractures in people 50 plus are caused by osteoporosis. So high numbers. So as we can see, it's good to know and good to educate ourselves. All right, so we've got some good pictures here on this slide. So bone density. Now let us know if you're participating live. Let us know if you've taken a bone density test before. Many people have. Often if you're over the age of 65, your doctor will recommend it every few years. So a bone density test determines if you have osteoporosis, the best way to find out if you do. And the test uses x-rays to measure how many grams of calcium and other bone minerals are packed into a segment of bone. Now you'll see on the far side, we have a picture of normal bone versus osteoporosis. So again, you can see that comparison. And there's a circle right here on the spine and also by the hip, the pelvis area. And these are the two areas where the bone density test is taken. So that's where they measure to see, what's the percentage of calcium and bone minerals. So they'll be able to tell you that way. The test doesn't hurt. It's not painful at all. Sometimes people worry about that. Oh, is it going to be painful? No, not at all. I mentioned, the shrinkage and the crush fractures that can happen. So you'll see here the normal vertebra, and then with a crush fracture, the vertebrae ends up kind of being compressed and squished. Now down here we have the T-score, and the T-score tells you if you have strong bones or if you're getting closer to osteoporosis. So if your number is in the green, so anywhere from -1 to +1, you're okay. So that's a normal bone density score. Low bone mass, sometimes this is called osteopenia, or your doctor may say, oh, you're on your way, you may get osteoporosis. The low bone mass number is anywhere from -1 to -2.5. And then with the presence of osteoporosis, that number is -2.5 to -4. And recently I chatted with a woman, like I said, I talked to lots of people with osteoporosis, but this woman reached out because she said, Meg, I went to see my doctor, I'm very close. She said, I have -2.5, that's my number. And my mother had severe osteoporosis. So she said, I want to make sure I'm strengthening my bones and doing the right type of exercises. So I was able to set her up and give her some great exercises for her condition. So it's good for us to know and to think and to be informed as we look into this. So what can we do? So number one, if you are worried or you say, well, I haven't had a bone density test done, get the test done. Talk to your doctor. Regular doctor's visits are important as well. Booking a physical, checking to see if there's any changes. And if it's hard to see a doctor, maybe it's seeing another health professional. Maybe it's dealing with a past injury, going to see a chiropractor or a physiotherapist. So it's good to think about our doctors or our support team as being multidisciplinary, having other professionals who you can refer to as well. Taking vitamin D and calcium supplements or having calcium and protein-rich foods all can help strengthen your bones. And then staying active with weight-bearing exercises. So we'll touch on calcium first. So nutrition, and especially calcium, plays an important role in preventing osteoporosis. So in people who have healthy bones, adequate calcium intake on a daily basis is necessary to maintain bone health. And it says daily because calcium is something you can't stockpile. So you can't have all of your calcium one day and then have no calcium the rest of the month. So you do need to replenish it daily. For older adults, studies have shown that adequate calcium intake can slow bone loss and lower the risk of fracture. And I've seen this with individuals that I work with. Now, particularly one woman, her name is Carmel, and she reached out a few years ago when she retired, and she had a busy job. She was working in the hospital setting, and what she found is that when she retired, she also found out she was diagnosed with osteoporosis. So she really focused on her diet and focused on adding some exercise into her day. So calcium was a big thing, and she started to research different meal ideas, different foods, and really planned out her meals each week so she knew that she was getting adequate calcium in her diet. And a little bit later, I'll show and share a few meal ideas that you can do at home as well. So this is a great resource. This is called the Calcium Calculator. And a lot of this information, including the calcium calculator, can be found right on the Osteoporosis Canada website. And I am trained as a Bone Fit trained instructor. So I had training from Osteoporosis Canada. They have amazing people who are very knowledgeable and incredible resources. So how this calculator works is you can log right onto their website and you can click on under each topic. So, milk and alternatives is what we see, but you can click on fruits and vegetables, grains, other, and etc. And what will happen is all the different foods will pop up and you can put in your number of servings that you have per day. So you can figure out, am I getting enough calcium through my food or do I need to supplement? So this is so helpful because I think a lot of you probably are getting more than you think, but sometimes it's just hard to know, and we don't know what's in the vegetables. I'm having lots of milk, but is that too much or is it not enough? So this can be really helpful to give you that number. Now, like many nutrients, calcium is absorbed less effectively as we age. So the number does go up. We need a bit more once you're over the age of 50. So what kind of foods should we be focusing on? So we've got a number here, and I wanted to include this for some new ideas. So milk, maybe you are drinking milk. Cheese is on this list, and yogurt. Now, if you're lactose intolerant like me, you're happy that there's other options. Sometimes we forget that we can get calcium from other things. It's not just dairy products. Sesame seeds, which is interesting. Collard greens, spinach, white beans, tofu, sardines, which I always throw in there because someone usually likes sardines. Not me, but maybe someone else. I love salmon, and I'm happy to see that on the list. So if you're thinking about a simple meal, a simple dinner that you know is high in calcium, you could do a stir fry. So grab some veggies, whatever's in your fridge, add some spinach, add some collard greens, and you could either add salmon on the side or throw in some tofu to have a meat-free meal. So that's one idea. Few other ideas for you. Now, maybe you really like to plan out your breakfast, or on the weekend you do a little bit more. So having yogurt and fruit parfaits can be a really nice special treat. And it looks nice too. Yogurt is one of the highest sources of calcium around, and the probiotics are good for your gut, so really good for digestion. And the recommended daily amount of calcium that you get from a yogurt and fruit parfait would be 34% of your daily intake. The tofu stir fry with fried rice. This looks really good, doesn't it? And I don't know if everyone likes tofu, but if you do it right, it's pretty good. I'm a big tofu eater here. And my husband, who's a meat and potatoes guy, he's learned to enjoy it too. So there is hope. Tofu is made with calcium sulfate, which helps boost the amount of calcium. This makes it an excellent source of calcium and a perfect choice for a meatless meal. And I know even with the price of food, price of meat, it is good to think about having more vegetarian meals, but still getting your protein. And this is a great way to do it. All right, so next we're going to talk about the importance of exercise. This is my very favorite topic, of course. So physical activity helps to reduce the risk of falls and fractures and helps to prevent further bone loss. Now, the woman I was mentioning a bit earlier, who was really paying attention to her food, she also decided to focus on exercising and walking. So she did both weight-bearing exercises and strength training exercises with my assistants. So she decided to go for walks. And in the beginning, it was pretty slow, she told me. She didn't go very far. She started with around the block a few times. And then she'd start timing herself and she'd compare her routes and go a little bit faster as she became more confident. And she started to do my exercise videos. And what she liked about the videos is that she was able to do them at any time of day, but she didn't need much equipment. So just like you see in the picture of me, and there's my little dog, I do exercises with resistance bands, which are excellent, with weights, standing and seated. But that's all you need. You just really don't need very much to exercise. Now, weight bearing is any exercise where the entire weight of your body is supported by the legs. So that is a weight bearing exercise. And we're going to do a little quiz. We're doing a little quiz, and you can let me know what you think about these 5 options. Are they weight bearing exercises or not? So the first one is swimming. Do you think it is weight bearing? If you want to let me know in the chat, you can say yes or a no for the swimming. What do you think? Yes or no? So a lot of people see swimming and they think, oh, it's a full body workout. It's requires good cardio and uses every muscle in the body. That must be weight bearing. But is your body being supported by your legs? No. So no, it is not considered weight bearing. Still go swimming, good for your joints, but not weight bearing. Lifting weights. Lifting weights. Yes. Yes, lifting weights is weight bearing, especially if you're standing and lifting weights. Now, if you have a hard time standing for long periods of time, you can sit as well. But for the full benefit, standing up as you lift weights is good. The weights don't have to be 100 pounds. A lot of people are intimidated by the thought of lifting weights. Where do I start? Starting with some small dumbbell weights. So maybe starting with 3 to 5 pounds, maybe even a little bit less if you have any shoulder injuries. But don't be intimidated by lifting weights. It's going to really help improve your strength and your bones. Now, the next one is biking. What do we think about biking? This one is a little harder. Often people think yes, no. Yesterday, I had a 50-50. Half the room thought yes, half the room thought no. So the answer is no. Biking is a really good way to get that heart rate up, really good if you have a hard time walking or if you want to go a bit further. But biking is not weight bearing because you are sitting. You are pedaling, so that's great for strength, but you're not bearing your weight with this one. The next one is walking. Walking. Walking is weight bearing. As I mentioned, the woman Carmel, she has been going for long walks, and that has been so good for her, so good for her. Now, what I didn't mention is that her doctor, a year later, talked to her and did the bone density test again and said there were no changes, no further decline in her bone loss. So that was really exciting. Now it's been 3 years, and the doctor has said her bones are getting stronger and not to stop what she's doing. He says, keep doing what you're doing, it's working. So with her diet and with her exercises, her bones are actually getting stronger. That's so amazing, exciting to hear that. And it's encouraging for all of us to hear that, movement, exercising, it does help. Now, the last one is going up and down stairs. And this is one of the best ways to improve bone strength and definitely is considered weight bearing. Now, if you live in a retirement residence or if you live in an apartment building, quite often you're not doing the stairs as much as you used to if you lived in a home. So what you can do instead is you can go into the stairwell, because there has to be stairs somewhere. So one of the exercises I like to do with my clients is to stand right in front of the stairs and to take one step up with your right foot and then up with your other foot. Step down and down. This is called the step up exercise. And all you need is one step. So if you don't have a step, you can also, use a block or something else. But the whole idea is getting the movement in, but weight bearing as you're going up and down the stair. This will make it easier to do curbs and stairs or getting into cars even. All right. Okay. Yes, holiday shopping, carrying all the bags. I love that. Yes, that counts too. Anything you're carrying, whether it's weights or something else. All right. So we want to think about developing and focusing on exercise programs that will help to improve many things, including your strength. Talked about that. Also your coordination, your balance, and your flexibility. So all of these things come together when we think about strengthening our bones and preventing falls. So here's a few pictures of different low impact weight bearing exercises that you can do. And shortly, I'll lead you through some of these exercises. We'll do them together. But we do have our sit to stand. This exercise is wonderful to help you get out of a chair easier. We have our squats for leg strength, low impact aerobics and balancing. We have walking and toe or heel raises. So really good ways to maintain our bone strength. Now, Osteoporosis Canada put out a program called Too Fit to Fall or Fracture. And if you go on their website, you can have access to the next few slides, as well as a whole resource kit to track your goals and to write down what you're working on. And what they recommend for people with low bone density is to do strength training at least 2 days a week. So exercises for your legs, arms, chest, shoulders, and back. And I mentioned before, but it's using your body weight against gravity or using bands or weights. And they recommend 8 to 12 repetitions per exercise. So there's a few others here. Again, we've got the squat, the wall push-up is an excellent exercise. And no, you don't have to do it on the floor. You can do it against the wall. And seated rows, using a resistance band to strengthen the muscles in your back. Balance exercises are also recommended. So because there's so many falls related to osteoporosis, balance is such an important aspect that you should focus on, not once a week, not once a month, every single day. It can look very different for different people. Maybe it is joining a class and doing Tai Chi. Maybe it's putting your music on, Christmas music, and dancing while you're decorating, walking on your toes, walking on your heels. And I recommend this too, having a sturdy chair or a counter or a wall, something to hold on to. So that way, if you do lose your balance, you won't fall and you won't injure yourself. And there's other exercises you can do. So walking with one foot right in front of the other, standing and lifting your foot completely off the floor, or transferring your weight from one side to the other. So I'll lead you through a number of these as well. And then I love how they've included posture awareness, because a lot of us spend a lot of time sitting or a lot of time leaning over as we're on our computers or in front of a screen or a TV. And often we do have a change in our posture. And I'm seeing this younger and younger. I'm seeing a lot of young kids with really poor posture. So it's not only when you're older that you experience this. So there's a few things you can think about. One thing you can do is gently tuck your chin in and draw your chest up slightly. So you can think about really puffing your chest out. Or imagine your collarbones are wings. Spread your wings slightly without pulling your shoulders back. Again, this just gets us into a better position instead of being slumped over, rounding our back, leaning against a chair. And then aerobic physical activity is recommended for 150 minutes per week. Now, this may seem like a lot. A lot of people think, oh my goodness, I don't think I could ever do that. Meg, that's crazy. But if you break it down, it's very realistic. So if you look at it Monday to Friday, that's 30 minutes per day. And it is okay to do 10 minutes at a time. But what we want to do is we want to get our heart rate up. So this is where brisk walking, dancing, jogging, doing an aerobics class or a video on YouTube, going up and down the stairs, so many different options. And there is a talk test, which can be helpful to know, am I working hard enough? So you might be able to talk. So if I'm asking you, what's your name, what's your address, you can tell me. But if I ask you to sing your favorite Christmas song, that's going to be too tough. You're going to be puffy and out of breath. So it is good to think about, getting that heart rate up enough, because I think a lot of people are worried that, oh, my heart rate goes up, I don't want to overdo it. Or maybe you have a heart condition and you don't want to push it too much. But our heart is a muscle, just like our arms, just like our legs. We need to keep it exercised. We need to keep it pumping so it works for us. So next I want to talk about the fall cycle. What often happens, and maybe you're here listening today and you think, oh, I really don't want to fall. I remember meeting a woman a number of years ago, and her doctor had told her, if you fall, you are going to break your leg and you're going to be in the hospital and you'll never recover. You'll probably die. And guess what? She was really, really scared of falling. So she had an extreme fear of falling because she said, well, the doctor said this. I don't want to break my leg. I don't want to end up dying. And what can happen when we have an extreme fear of falling, or even a small fear, is it can lead to inactivity. So what this woman did is she didn't go out. She stayed in her home, even when the snow and ice was out there. She said, no, I'm not going to go see my friends. I'm not going to do my activities. I'm not going to join my social clubs. And then what happened is it led to weakening of muscles. So by the time I saw her, this was a few years after the doctor had said this, few winters of not doing anything, she came to my exercise class and she said, Meg, this is really hard. I'm really having a hard time getting back into shape because I haven't done anything in so long. So what happens is when we have weakened muscles is there is an increased risk of falling. You're more likely to fall because you're not as coordinated, your balance isn't as good, and you may not be as quick on your feet. So in the past, maybe if you caught your toe on something or you tripped, you were able to right yourself, you were able to catch yourself. And if you have weakening of muscles and you're not as strong, that could lead to a quick fall. And then when the fall happens, guess what? It keeps that loop going. We are worried about falling again. And it is common when someone has one fall, it's common to have a second or a third fall very shortly thereafter. So the cycle is real. I talk to a lot of people who share that they are worried about falling and they're worried about how to get up off the floor. These are big, big concerns, real concerns for a lot of people. So my best advice to get out of this cycle is when you start to feel afraid of falling, tell yourself, okay, what can I do to build up my resilience and to build up my confidence? Quite often it is enrolling in a fitness class or doing some exercises on your own. And I can tell you, I've worked with lots of people who've gone from really, really poor balance to starting an exercise program and being really diligent, really consistent and exercising a few times a week, sometimes every day even, and their confidence increases. One woman I work with, she reached out because she said, I really want to keep traveling. And this woman is in her early 80s and all of her family lives across the country. And she said, I have this trip coming up in a year, and I think this would be a really good goal to build up some strength, improve my balance so I don't fall, and so I can travel and get on the airplane on my own, put my luggage up in the overhead compartment and feel confident that I can do it. So she worked with my team and I for that year, and it was incredible how her strength increased. She saw it, that people around her noticed as well. And when she did go on that trip to visit her family, they noticed as well. So she was so proud of herself being able to do that. But having that goal in mind, which for her was traveling, really kept her focused and kept her exercising regularly. So really amazing to hear stories of people like this, just like you, who are having concerns, but do it anyway. All right, now some fall prevention tips as we're talking about falls. 50% of falls occur in the home. So this is a lot. A lot of falls do happen in the home. Many falls happen in the bathroom. And there's many reasons for that. It can be slippery floors. If there's any water on the floor, it can be easy to slip as well. And just getting in and maneuvering in and out of a bathtub or the shower can sometimes be a reason for a fall too. We want to think about removing clutter or mats from the floor, especially those mats that slip under your feet. And also watch what's on your feet. Now, if you have those floppy slippers, it's easy to slip or fall because of slippers too. Now, going back to our posture awareness, we want to think about sitting or standing tall, balancing a book on your head. So that means keeping your chin up, tucked in, but also not moving from side to side or leaning too far forwards. Just imagine that book slipping. So we want to think about being aware of how we're sitting. And get up and move throughout the day. One of the best things to do is to stay active in order to prevent falls and to feel safer on your feet. So maybe this is setting an alarm for yourself or a timer. A lot of people are just used to sitting, and we get into our routine, whether we're working or whether we're just busy with things, but we are often very focused on what we do. We don't often think about the importance of getting up, stretching, or even walking up and down the hallways or up and down the stairs just to stretch your legs. But it's really important to do that. And then something that often leads to falls is rushing. Rushing to answer the phone, rushing to get to the door, or you forget something and you turn too quickly and you lose your balance. So we want to think about slowly getting up out of a chair. You get up too fast, your blood pressure may drop, so that can lead to dizziness as well. So just think about taking your time as you're moving around your house, but the importance of moving. All right, so I'm going to pass this over to Leaf Charlene. We'll share this slide.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So as you've mentioned so far, we do know that falls can happen, and fall prevention does support, a various different plethora of things that may be individualized to you as a resident. So when you do move into our homes, we ensure that there is a fall prevention program that everyone can participate in. Part of our process includes reviewing just your everyday practices and your health needs, and those things without any fault of our own can contribute to a fall. And as Meg has mentioned, some things like your environment, the scatter rugs that we have in our suites, or just the fact that, like Heidi, maybe you're wearing glasses, or maybe you have hearing aids, and there's medical conditions that are not in our control. So we've got to figure out some prevention tools. We got to figure out how we help our residents decrease their risk of falls. And the way that we do that when our residents move into our properties is that we consult with our clinical pharmacists, which are part of our care team, to take a look at your medications and to see that, to ensure rather that they're not contributing and that they wouldn't lead to a fall. And if they do, look at how we can mitigate those factors for you. And sometimes it is reducing a medication or increasing another one, or recommending to your physician to remove one because maybe enhancing some issues that can cause a fall. We look at your home just the same way that Meg mentioned a while ago. We look at how you set up your apartment, how you set up your suite, and we give you ideas as to how to place furniture if you desire us to give you that information, or what you probably can remove, like those scatter rugs that we mentioned that could increase your risk of falling. When we assess our residents who move in, and we also do it every 6 months as well, at our 6-month appointments, we review your history of falls, and we're able to actually determine your level of risk of a fall with a lot of the things that Meg has already mentioned: osteoporosis, if there's a history of it, medications that you may be on, and of course, if you've had falls in the past as well. And once we look at that scale, we are able to then develop a personalized plan just for you. And that plan can include activation programming that we offer at Aspira. It can include exercise and various fitness offerings, along with our allied health professionals, such as physiotherapists and occupational therapist programs that we can get for you to have personal one-on-one, or through community programmings, or like AIM, the programs that Meg offers as well too. So we're able to take a look at where you are at in your own health, take a look at what conditions and issues may actually cause you to be in a position to fall, and look at how we can actually prevent them as well. And that's all built in to what we provide every single day for our residents at Aspira. Meg, back over to you.
All right, awesome. Awesome. Good to hear that there's good teams there to help out. All right, so what are the next steps for you? So maybe it is to book a bone density test. Maybe it's to look up some new calcium-rich meals. You can just Google it if you're looking for new ideas. That's where I find all my recipes. Or if you go to Pinterest, there's a lot of great recipes there as well. Now, sign up for a strength and balance fitness class, especially if you're finding you need a bit of motivation, you need some guidance, you don't really know what to focus on. It's so nice to just show up and follow along. Start walking with a friend. I find that people who do things together are more dedicated and more motivated because there's someone else that they need to show up for. Now, one of the women I worked with for a number of years, she started meeting with her neighbor. They lived in the same apartment and they would meet once a week. And they'd go for a walk in the neighborhood and then they'd end up at Tim Hortons and they'd get their coffee afterwards. So that was really motivating. They did it once a week and that led into 5 days a week. And they loved it. They went further and further each walk. So it's so fun to go with somebody and great way to be social as well. And then I want to talk about the 5-day fitness challenge because this is a really great way to improve your leg strength and balance. So I run a 5-day fitness challenge, and this is a good way to build a new habit by exercising for 15 minutes. So what I've done is I've put together 15-minute videos. They're all different for the 5 days, and they focus on weight-bearing exercises, building strength in your legs, stretching your legs, and also improving your balance in different ways. So this can be a really fun way if you're looking just for a bit of a kickstart to begin. So if you do want to learn more about this, you can be in touch or you can visit my website. Now, I do offer a free 15-minute health consultation. So if you do want to chat with me and you want to hear a little bit more about what we offer, but do you want to share about your health and fitness goals, then I would love that. So my website is listed right here, activitiesinmotion.ca, where you'll be able to connect to book this. So let's get moving. We're going to do a number of exercises. I've got a really good workout planned for you. So let's do that now. So what I encourage you to do is stand up. Stand up. We're going to stretch those legs. We're going to be focusing on balance and leg strength. We will need our chairs. So bring your chair, adjust your camera so that you can see me. All right, good. So we're going to start with some side steps. And what I recommend, and because I don't know your situation, you may want to stand really close to the chair. The one option is to step side to side, holding onto your chair, swing one arm, or if you feel comfortable, give yourself a bit of extra space, step side to side and swing both arms. Now, as you're doing this, think about that posture. So shoulders are back, we're breathing, feeling good in our bodies. And This is going to be a really quick workout, but I want you to notice how good it feels when we exercise and how just a little bit of movement makes a big difference. All right, now from here, we're going to be lifting your leg. So I want you to tap your foot to the other leg. And again, you might want to do this right beside the chair. That's really recommended to start. But as we lift the knee, think about pulling your stomach in. We're breathing in, pulling that stomach in, and that can really help to keep you stabilized here. So let's keep going. We'll do a few more. And as we're balancing, you may notice that one leg is stronger than the other. So if you've had a knee or hip replacement, be sure to listen to your body. Don't overdo it. But you may find that balance is better on one side. That's pretty normal. I hear that all the time. All right, now from here, we're going to face that chair. One leg back, one leg in front. We're going to be shifting our weight forwards and then backwards. As we shift back, lift your front toes. As you shift front, lift the back heel. Now you can use that chair for balance, or you can add the arms, reaching in front and reaching back. All right, now this exercise is a really good one because it teaches our body to recover if we do happen to trip or slip. So what I want us to add on a core tightening movement. So squeeze the stomach in as you lean forwards, release as you go back. Tighten and release. We're going to breathe in, tighten, breathe out, release. And you'll feel stronger when you have your core engaged. Okay, let's do 3 more here. Good, and 2. And 1. And now we're going to change legs. So we'll do the other side. This is where we often see if one side is easier than the other. All right, so lifting the heel, lifting the toes. This time we're going to be working on our posture. So let's reach both arms or one arm in front. Bend your elbows and squeeze back. So reach and squeeze. And always do this one arm at a time as well. Think about bringing those elbows back, squeezing your shoulder blades back. All right, good. This is a movement you can focus on every morning. Working those shoulders, strengthening our back. 3, 2, and 1. All right. Now I want to show you a few more weight-bearing exercises you can do. And I like to talk about them as being really simple exercises that you can do during the day, especially at the sink. So just imagine you're right in front of your sink. Really simple. Let's start with our heel raise exercise. So you want to lift those heels up and then lower your heels down. So the sink is a great place to exercise because we're often there a few times during the day. So I'd encourage you to pick 3 exercises. I like to call it snacking on exercise. But do those 3 exercises when you're in the kitchen, whether you're there for a snack, maybe to refill your water glass, or maybe you're heating something up in the oven or the microwave. Now, the other option here is you can always add your arm. One arm or both arms. So we'll do 3 and 2 and 1. Good. All right. Now the next one we're going to do is really good to build strength in your knees. So we're going to use this chair for sure for this one. So take a little step so your heel is touching that toe. Hold on, and we're going to be bending your knees and take your hips back. So this is a variation on a lunge. So you maybe have done lunges before, and often people find that their knees are bothered. So this is a really good alternative. So hips back, and we're keeping both heels flat on the floor. Good. Now I have a number of individuals I'm working with. One woman who's waiting for a knee replacement. And up to this point, she hasn't done too much exercise, but she reached out to work with me. So I'm working one-on-one at her home. And I've given her a number of different leg strength exercises she can do so that when she does have her knee replacement surgery, she recovers a lot faster because her legs are stronger. This is the one I've given her, and she's really seen some improvements already. All right, you should be feeling that one. Front legs, back of the legs. Let's do the other side. Breathing in and out as we go. And try to keep your weight right in the middle, and that's done by taking your hips back. And I have another woman I know who has arthritis in her knees, and this exercise has been helpful for her as well. So sometimes we think, well, I don't want to do this exercise because I have bad knees or bad hips. But if we strengthen the muscles around those areas, it can really help to relieve pressure on the joints. All right, 2 more. And 1 more. All right, wonderful. So the next one I'm going to do is for leg strength. This was also on one of the earlier pictures. This exercise is called the sit to stand. So we all have a chair, so we can all do this one. And I will tell you, if you participate in my 5-day challenge, every day we do 5 more of these. We start with 10 on day 1, and we end up getting up to 25. All right, so we're gonna sit near the middle or edge of the chair. You can push from your knees or the chair, or challenge yourself with your arms across your chest. And we're going to rise all the way up, straightening our shoulders as we rise up, hips back, and sit down slowly. All right, so we're gonna do 10 today. Let's do 10. This is 2. Now, if you consider yourself to be an advanced exerciser and you've been doing these already, then an alternative for you is to do without your hands, or don't sit down completely. So you can take your hips back, tap the chair, but don't sit all the way down. Okay, so that's an advanced option for some of you. All right, good. So we'll do 5 more, 5 more. This is one you can easily fit into your day. You just have to think about it. But before you sit down to have a meal, do 10 sit to stands. And what people have found when they participate in my 5-day challenge, they find that on the last day, it's not as hard to do because you've been doing it. It's cumulative growth. They notice that it improves over time. All right, so these are all really great weight-bearing exercises. I want to lead you through one balance exercise, and then we'll move to Q&A. So if you have any questions, any comments, please let me know in the chat, and we'll look at those before we finish up. All right, so a really good way to start off, if you're a little nervous about balancing, is with the tree pose exercise. So you'll want to put your heel right where your shoelaces are on your shoe. Knee is out to the side, your toes are out to the side. And there's a few options. You can hold on to the chair, challenge yourself, hold on with 2 fingers. Or if you feel comfortable, you can lift your hands. Now, because everyone's at different levels, you may find this to be really easy. You do this already in yoga. You can lift your toes off the floor. This is a good spot because if you need to touch down, your foot is right there. Let's see if you can lift your toes, keeping your heel on your foot, and maybe holding it for a few seconds. All right. Now, another option, and we'll do the other side for this, is lifting your foot and leaning your foot right against the other leg. And again, start with 2 hands, or 2 fingers, or challenge yourself. Now, as you're balancing, we want to think about a few things. We want to think about looking straight ahead, finding a focal point, activating our core, so pulling your stomach in, bringing your shoulders back, and of course, breathing. Sometimes we hold our breath as we're concentrating on what we're doing. All right. So remember these different alternatives, but definitely starting with the tree pose, lifting the toe, or lifting the foot are all good options for you. All right, wonderful. So give yourself a pat on your back. Wonderful job, great work. All right, good. So if there are any questions, be sure to let us know. Now, one question I do hear from a lot of people is, how much exercise should I really get? And it depends where you're at. If you're someone who hasn't done much at all, maybe you are really sedentary, then I would recommend starting with that 30 minutes a day. And that can look like 10 minutes at a time. So maybe it is like we've just done, some standing, some weight bearing exercises. Maybe it's fitting in a 10-minute walk, going around the block a few times, or up and down the stairs or down the halls. Or maybe it's finding an exercise video online that you can follow along with, something that you're comfortable with. So I want to remind you, it doesn't have to be too much to start with. Break it down, but do what you can.
Thank you, Meg. That was absolutely amazing.
Oh, thank you, Heidi. Thank you.
Any questions or comments? I see a lot of thank you. I see a lot of I will be doing this at home. Amazing. Any more? Okay. Well, I can't thank you enough, Meg, and Charlene, you as well, for all your insight that you gave us today. We certainly do look forward to learning more and developing more, and especially this area of the health and wellness, as we go into the season where falls do take place more prevalently. These are definitely things that we're going to be using and implementing here. I want to also thank the audience. As always, we appreciate all your support. And we certainly do wish everyone a safe and healthy season ahead. And before going, Meg, if you can just let us know again where we can find you. I definitely will be starting to do those exercises and being more mindful of just being very preventative, and getting ahead of the game.
Yes, good. Good to hear that. So I've shared my website there, activitiesinmotion.ca. Like I mentioned, if those of you have Rogers TV, you can exercise with me on channel 22 at 8:30 during the week. And then I also have a YouTube channel. So I have about 400 and some videos. So if you are looking for a place to start, that's a really good place to start. So you can just Google AIM Fitness Activities in Motion and you'll see me. I'll be there.
Thank you so much. Any other questions? Oh. Well, we had a wonderful time with you, Meg. I look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you so much and good luck.
Thank you so much, Heidi.
All
Thanks,
right.
everybody.
Take care.
Take care.
Thank you, everyone.